And special episode of the Note Closure Show. I am honored to be delivering some amazing stuff to you today. Well, maybe that not really delivering. I'm just bringing on. I'm facilitating something that could change many of your lives out there. And what am I talking about? I'll get to it in just a second. But I know that now here in the United States, tax day has come and gone. You've either filed your taxes, paid Uncle Sam, or you extended it another 6 months to kick the can down the road. But one thing you can't delay or kick the can down the road is taking action for your long-term goals. There's a lot of information in the news and the media about retirement numbers, and creating wealth, and paying, being able to pay or have enough saved for when you get old, or your kids have enough saved for education. We know that's a big, big thing. And I'm honored today. We've got a really good buddy of ours, the man, the myth, the legend. He's the amazing best-selling author of several books. Your Kids, Their Money. He rewrote The Richest Man in Babylon, The Richest Person in Babylon, as you know, you've heard us talk about before. But our friend from FinCom, Mr. Clifton Corbin, has joined us today here on the Note Closure Show. What's going on, Clifton? How you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
Scott, thanks so much for having me. And thanks for that intro. That was one of the warmest ones I've had in a while. So I appreciate that.
You know, I'm available for birthdays and bar mitzvahs if you need to.
We need to get you on Cameo.
You know, it takes me back to that radio DJ. Calling on now, right now on 99.9X, we've got ACDC, or
Morning, Vietnam.
exactly that. That's one of my favorite things. Or it could be Destiny Stage 3, Destiny Stage.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You
Not a
know
clue.
idea what I'm
Not a
talking
clue.
about. Well, here's the thing. We want to help create generational wealth. So we're not helping support the single moms program out there for a lot of folks this morning. But in all seriousness, you've been working on something for a little while, and I was really honored that you thought of me and reached out to me yesterday. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is something that we've got to get in front of people, because you and I both have a passion for helping people overcome financial hurdles and obstacles, to really help them achieve that long term, or as we like to call it, create generational wealth,
Mhm.
to help them live the life they want to and really experience true financial freedom. Right, Clifton?
That's right. That's right. So my mission has been for the longest time is trying to help young people. So helping kids learn financial literacy. And the thing that kept coming up again and again as I talked to more parents, because I try to help parents teach their kids financial literacy. And the thing that kept coming up was parents who would say, I don't feel comfortable talking about money, or I don't feel like I know what I'm doing with my money. So I realized, like, if my goal is to help the kids, then I need to help the parents. So that's why I've gone down this route.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. We are a very much a mirror reflection, oftentimes, of where our parents were.
Mhm.
And we've all heard the analogy that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. And I know that I gained my financial literacy not from my parents, but from what my parents didn't teach me as a hot button for me to go out and learn about finance and get into the finance game, and do what I'm doing basically today, as a culmination of different steps I've taken along the way. But you're exactly right. My parents didn't know. I actually had to turn around and teach my parents quite a few things.
Mhm.
The first ever loan I did was a cash out refi to erase a ton of debt my parents did, which made me very responsible. Which may be not only the favorite, which I was always the favorite, but you get what I'm saying, and helping them, you know, get their ass out of the sling. And a lot of people out there are struggling with it. And so I really commend you for taking the time to put this event together. I mean, we've done enough virtual events to know that there is a lot of moving parts, a lot of work, and sometimes it's not the most rewarding of work trying to figure some of this stuff out, but it is also so worthwhile, especially when I was looking at the speakers you've got lined up for this event. And it's just not you. You've
No.
got a literally financial army behind you, really going to deliver above and beyond. So let's talk about kind of what you're trying to put together, and we're not what you are, but what you have put together, and dive into that. So let's
Sure, sure.
I'll let you take it over from here. How's that
No,
sound?
I'll give you the vision. I'll give you the vision. So, like I said, one of the things I wanted to do is help parents feel comfortable with money. So I said, well, what are the things that most parents are struggling with? And you touched on a few of them, right? It's planning for the future, it's planning for higher education, it's understanding where your money's going so that you don't, a lot of us just the cash flow piece is a big part of it. So just knowing where our money's going. So that's the budgeting and all the rest. So it's I tried to put an event together that had at least most of those components so that any parent who watched would be like, oh, okay, this is something I'm struggling with. So this is someone who knows it. They're an expert in this field. They've been doing it. They've been training. They've been consulting. They're coaching. I've got CFPs and tax professionals and financial therapists and all of these different professionals who've all donated themselves, their time, their skills, their expertise to help parents start to feel comfortable. And then I also wanted to make sure that, my thing is again helping parents start talking to their kids about it. So I want to get a few folks who are also in that lane as well to say, okay, if you start feeling comfortable with your money, if you start getting your head wrapped around it, once you start saying, oh, I get it, that was the phrase I kept having in the back of my head. I want parents to be saying, oh, I get it. And once you say that, here's how you go and help your kids, because we know the way to learn is to teach. So if you're teaching your kids what you've just learned, then we're winning all over the place. So I got a few other speakers in there who are focused just on those pieces, like what are the 3 lessons that you want to teach your kids to, maximize wealth and make them understand it, and some money mindset pieces, like how do we make sure we're not just trying to accumulate and acquire and buy and buy and buy. So I tried to go through the whole realm of what I need to do to help the parents feel good and what they can then do to start helping their kids. So I broke down the event into kind of 3 different buckets. So it's the first day, it's going to be all about money mindset. The next day, it's about those tangible things like mastering your money. So the budgeting, the logistics, the planning. And the last day, it's going to be more about legacy and wealth. So what can we do to start really helping our kids, and what can we do to start making the money that we now have saved, that we've now been able to put aside? How do we get that to invest and grow? And let's say you're not feeling good with your job or your career. How do we maximize your career? How do we, build that side hustle into your new full-time job? So I really tried to do as best I could put a whole package together that no matter where you are on your financial journey, you could find out how to get to that next stage, and then again start raising that generational wealth for you, for your kids, and for your kids' kids.
Yeah, this is just phenomenal. And I know quite a few of the speakers. We've had some of them on here on the show before and rubbed elbows with them at FinCon and other places, stuff like that there. So you've got a phenomenal lineup. And I love the transition over the 3 days that you have, starting with that mindset, because that's really the most limiting factor for folks is that it's that whole like Stuart Smalley from I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough,
Yes.
and doggone it, I can't retire. You know what I mean? That
Right.
kind of
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I wanted to help people with that overcoming those mental hurdles. So like I said, I grabbed a few financial therapists. So one of the ones that I think is a big one for a lot of folks is just starting these conversations in
Yeah.
a couple, in a partnership, right? Like I feel this way. I'm a big time saver. You're a big time spender. We're butting heads all the time. We try to talk about budget and it just turns into a conflict. So I grabbed a financial therapist who focused just on relationship. Or, I have all this stuff that I dealt with in my past. This one's specific for me. I came to this after I had a lot of, financial missteps, and a lot of trauma came from that,
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, all the rest. So I want to grab someone who can talk over that and talk through, how do you deal with the financial trauma that might have been in your past? And then there's other things that obviously don't relate to me, but I know relate to other parents and families out there. I want to get like a single parent who's talking specifically about the things you need to do to, get that financial independence as a single parent, which is I can't even imagine trying to raise a child on my own and then trying to reach financial independence. So having a parent who's actually on that journey, talking through her journey, talking about what she does, it's like I said, I'm this lineup is phenomenal, and I'm so excited to be putting this on.
Yeah, knowing this lineup and the different lessons that they bring to the table, it is worth thousands of dollars in education. And I wanted to talk about this because you're charging just a huge arm and a leg for this event, right,
Oh yeah.
Clifton?
Oh yeah. This thing is 100% free because what I want is people to attend. I want people to get this content. The last thing I wanted to do was create this phenomenal event and then people have the financial hurdle, the financial burden that they can't actually get into it. So that's why I asked all these speakers if they'd be willing to donate themselves. And luckily for me, and luckily for anyone who attends, all of these speakers have the same mission as you and I. We want to help people. That's always been our mission. Yes, we do put out products, we do services, we do want to get paid because we need to live as
Time
well.
is valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, but this doesn't our these educational lessons, they need to be out into the public space, and these speakers were so generous to donate all of this to the audience pro bono.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this podcast right now or you're watching this video, what I want you to do is if you scroll down the description, there's a link. I want you to click on the link because we're going to walk through that link so it makes you be able to kind of see what we're talking about this amazing lineup that's going on that Clifton has put together here. And let me, I had the link pulled up here just a second. Let me go over to it instead of my, there we go. Raising Generational Wealth. That's the website, raisinggenerationalwealth.com. We'll put a link in the description for you to click onto it. But I literally, it's May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So it's over a weekend. It's online. It's free to attend those 3 days. If people want to sign up, was it for the Pro Pass? They can get all the replays. Is that correct, Clifton? Everything that goes along with that too?
That's right. So the event itself is free, but yes, there is a pass that you can, if you want to watch the replays, if you want to get access to additional content, you can get that pass and upgrade to get more content. But the pass itself is free, and you could just go and just consume all of this amazing content over those
Mm-hmm.
3 days. Each one of those videos is available. It's on demand, so you could just watch and consume. And like I said, there's also access to bonus material also afterwards. If you're interested, you can get access to that as well.
Yeah, if I totally easy to be able to get that. And I love the fact that you're doing this virtually, so it allows people to plug in as they have time around their busy schedule, or maybe as they're sitting in the stands waiting for their kid at practice somewhere. These are lessons that they can learn while
Exactly.
they're sitting there watching. So if you're a parent and you're getting overwhelmed organizing your money, you're feeling anxious about money matters, you wonder if you're saving enough for tomorrow, you're worried about your kids not getting a financial education, or you want your kids to be set up for financial success, then this is the summit for you out there. So we've talked about when, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, or you can purchase it and have the evergreen stuff afterwards.
That's right.
Anywhere you got a decent, you're doing this on via Zoom. Is that kind of the?
So the videos, because I'm doing this for parents, I didn't want to do live sessions. I know, Scott and I, we chatted, and at some point I might incorporate some live content into it, but I know parents are busy when they have available time. It could be, in the morning, right before drop off, right after drop off, in the middle of the day at lunch. So I wanted to make this an on-demand summit. So if you have access to the internet, you register, I will send you the day's videos, and you can watch all of them all at once. You could spread it out over the next, 48 hours. After 48 hours, the videos expire unless you have the upgraded pass. But I wanted to make, like I said, access and accessibility was top of mind for me. So I wanted to make sure that as soon as you wake up in the morning, check your inbox, and then you get to decide how you want to consume that day's content. So whenever it works for you over those 3 days.
No, I love it. They're bite-sized questions. I mean, they're bite-sized sessions,
Yeah.
15 to 25 minutes roughly. Really great to be able to really listen with your kids at the same time and then talk about the stuff
Hmm.
afterwards as well too
Hmm.
for you. So let's see here. What do you say we go down here and talk about the 6 points about some of the stuff here that they're going to get along with this stuff? I
Of
know we
course,
talked
of
about it a
course.
little bit beforehand, but let's reiterate this as we're going through the website.
So the number one thing I wanted parents to walk away from is confidence. I want them to feel like they are more comfortable either managing their money or talking about money or knowing where to find sources to get more help with their money. Because we know that, money, again, it's still this subject that is often hard for folks to talk about. It just is. It's been that way culturally for years. And because of that, once you start to find yourself in a bit of a jam or you have a question, you don't know where to turn, you don't know who to
Yeah.
trust, you don't know where to go. So I wanted to give you a place to go to start to feel more confident. So that's the number one thing I'm hoping you get. The second thing is obviously just money management skills. I want you to be able to know what to do, whether that's you want to save more, you want to make sure you know what to do to plan for retirement or your kids' education or whatever your goal is. I just want that to be something that you walk away with additional money management skills. I want to reduce some of the stress. I want to reduce some of the anxiety. I want to reduce some of the depression that comes from managing money. It just consistently stays as this thing that causes us stress and anxiety. But you'll find once you have a plan in place, once you're working that plan, a lot of that stress and anxiety goes away. I mentioned before, that cash flow management piece, like where is my money going? If you know that at the end of the month you will have enough money for your bills, for your plans, for your planned, savings, vacation, what have you, the stress and anxiety comes down. So I made sure to have speakers and financial apps there, that financial apps that are like the CEO of financial app there, so they can provide you with tools so that you can start to feel less stress about your money. So I mentioned those tools. I want to provide you with actionable resources, things that you can use, whether that be budgeting templates or, like I said, financial money management apps, or just books or what workbooks and ebooks and all and courses. I made sure that I asked my speakers, if you have resources you think can help the audience, please let me know. And I've included some of those. So I've got a swag bag with a bunch of free resources. So this is a conference. I don't know what a conference is without free swag. So you can, as soon as you register, check out the goodie bag, grab some free swag. And in addition to that, like I said, if you upgrade the pass, there's a ton of resources there for you. But even without that, almost all of the speakers have donated some type of a freebie that you can just get. You watch the session, right underneath it, there's a resource right there ready for you. So many resources that are directly tied to what the speakers are talking about. I want to give you more time, right? One of the things that I think that this event's going to provide, in addition to the fact that I tried to make it on demand so you can manage your own time and work out the way you want to, I also want to help you with organizing your money in a way that's less time consuming for you, right? Like if we're constantly rebalancing budgets and spending all of our time thinking and working on our money, that's not going to reduce our stress. That's not going to reduce our anxiety. So I'm trying to create an event that will also, when you walk away, you'll get a little bit more time. And the last thing I want you to walk away with is a feeling of some community support. One of the reasons why Scott, you pulled me on and I was so excited to come on is because we're part of a community. We
Yep.
mentioned the FinCon family. So many of those folks are in this summit. I'm also trying to create a community here of like-minded parents, including some of these experts who can come together, talk. I have an exclusive Facebook group that is just for summit attendees. There's already people in there. They're already chatting. They're already sharing their knowledge. In there, I'm going to be giving away free prizes. And I just want it to be a place for you to go and ask questions and hear answers and talk to some of the speakers directly. So I want you to have that community support because, like I said at the beginning, we're just not talking about this enough. So creating a community, creating that Facebook group is a way that I think will help you feel like you have an outlet when you just want to say, you know what, here's the greatest achievement I was able to accomplish via this summit, or here's something I've really been struggling on. Does anyone have an idea, a suggestion, something I can? So again, a community is what it's all about. And that's why I created the summit to start with, is to provide that wraparound community for our audience. So I hope folks walk away feeling like they've got that support as well.
Well, that's one of the most important things is in something like this, there are no dumb questions.
No,
There are no stupid questions because if you're thinking about it, I guarantee probably 10 other people are thinking about it.
100%.
And the great thing about this is having that community where you can go and ask those questions and have people answer questions and not just wait on some specific expert or stuff like that, but people that are actually going through the exact same things that you can identify with and not have this bit of shame. I think a lot of people, they literally symbolize the fact that they're not doing the right things with shame. There's no reason to do that. Life happens to everybody. We all go through financial hiccups and issues that put us in the position that we're at, but it doesn't mean that you can't get out of it. And there's many people that have walked that path before. They're willing to pull you up out of that hole or give you that guiding light across along that path to success. Right.
Exactly that.
Awesome. Now let's dive into it. Free ticket there. You haven't talked about yourself a little bit. I want you to share a little bit about you before we dive into the rest of the speakers here. Talk about your expertise. I love your backstory. That you also are probably the most liked guy at FinCon
Oh
based
gosh,
on.
stop it now, Scott.
Come on now. There were very few solo sessions at FinCon this last year. Yours was. It was standing room only, standing ovation. Just a great guy and a great heart. So tell everybody about why you're so awesome, Clifton.
Oh, Scott, you're too kind. All right. Well, I'll take all that with as much grace as I can.
There you go.
I, so my story, it's an interesting one. I had two parents who were the type of parents who would talk about money, and I felt very lucky to have those parents in my life. I still have them in my life, and I'm very grateful for them. And when I asked them about money, they told me what they knew, and that was good enough for a part of the story, but it wasn't enough of the story. So when I went off to college, I ended up making a bit of a mess of my finances because I only had part of the story. I knew how to earn. I knew a bit about saving. I didn't understand debt. I didn't know how to use it properly. And that caused a lot of financial heartache for me in my early 20s. But I worked my way out of it and I figured out what I was doing. And then I realized, well, the way to really make sure that other folks don't have to go through the same stress and anxiety and depression that I went through is to help young people learn the skills that I now know, but let them like teach it to them at an early age. So that's what that's what I do. I try to help young people learn financial literacy skills before they need it. And usually I try doing that by helping parents teach it to their kids. But as I mentioned, some parents need a little bit of help, which is why I'm doing this summit. I've written a few books. I've got a few more coming out, but my first book was Your Kids, Their Money. It's a guide to help parents teach financial literacy. My second book I worked on with my son. It's a revised version of The Richest Man in Babylon. Again, it's a financial literacy powerhouse that's been in the public domain and just been in the public space for so many years that I just want to refresh it and bring it back out and make people realize how valuable this book is again. And yeah, my mission, like I said, it's to help. I say it's to help young people, but it's just to help people feel better about themselves. So, that's why I went to FinCon. I was hoping I could help creators in this space do more of the good that they're doing. Because if I'm helping them teach other people how to feel comfortable with their money, then I'm still meeting my mission. So this is what I do. I try to do it in all the different realms I'm in to just make people feel better about themselves. Because that's what fills my cup.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. All right, let's go through this. So basically, let's dive into this rock star killer's row of speakers you've got coming on there. Let's start with Tiffany Grant.
Oh my gosh, she is a powerhouse. She was one of the ones that I knew I needed. So she's going to be kind of kicking this whole thing off for me. She's going to be talking about money mindset. She's going to be talking about, that growth mindset. And a lot of us, like I said, we just have that thing, whether it was something that we heard as a child or something that happened to us in our early years that kind of gave us this mindset of what we can and can't do with our money or what we should and shouldn't do, but we need to kind of grow past that. So that's what I'm having Tiff come in to talk about. So she's a rock star. She's got her own podcast. She's got her resources. She's everywhere. I think she's got one of the top downloaded podcasts in the personal finance space. And she's just, every time I talk to her, she's doing like 20 things and she's killing them all. So I'm so excited to have Tiff come and kick this thing off.
Awesome. Then you've got Ed Combs joining us, our CFP. He's the founder of Healthy Love and Money. And Ed knows his stuff. If you really have
Oh
those
man.
uncomfortable conversations, he can help break down those barriers, can he?
So when I was at FinCon for the first time, I mentioned to Ed how I still feel anxious talking to my partner about budgets just because of all the stuff that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Ed did a session with me in the moment. Like he didn't hesitate. He's like, "Oh, you're feeling that way?" And he just came over and I was like, by the end of it, I felt like I was floating. I'm man, Ed is a magician. To this day I talk to people about that. He is a magician. So he's coming to talk about money, couples, how to start having those money conversations, and I'm just over the moon that he would come and do this for us because he's such a great expert. He's a financial therapist. That's what he does. He
Yep.
helps people with their money through therapy, and I think he's spectacular.
Exactly. Then you've got the lovely Deb Meyer, CFP, there, the author of Redefining Family Wealth, coming on as well.
Deb is such a warm spirit. I met Deb the first time I went to FinCon as well, and she just kind of lit up the room. So she was at the author's booth with me, and her passion for helping people, for just again making people feel better is just it's so great. So Deb's actually she's all over the place. So if you go to I mentioned now there's a swag bag. So she donated some stuff to the swag bag. So you can get some free goodies from Deb there. She's just so giving. And yeah, her mission on this summit is to help people with retirement and estate planning specifically for parents, specifically estate planning for parents, which we know it's something we need to do, but it's something that a lot of us struggle with because we don't always want to accept the finality of our existence, but it's something that we need to think about. We have kids, we have
Yep.
dependents. We need to be thinking about their future, and Deb's going to come in and talk to us about that.
Exactly. Then you got Christina Cardoza,
Oh
become a
my,
financial role model, which is great role model for your kids.
oh, like I said, one of the things I wanted to make sure that I was doing with the summit is not just focusing on the parents, but also helping the parents start helping their kids. So she's going to come in, talk about being a role model, show you what things you need to do and what things you need to be demonstrating, because it's all good and dandy to say do this, do that, but if you're not living it, if you're not demonstrating it in front of your children, they're not going to start doing it themselves, right? So she's going to do it, but she's not. The thing I love about all of our speakers is none of them are the type to lecture. They're
Yeah.
all doing it because they love it, and they're living these things. This is the way they live their lives. So she's coming in to talk about being a role model, and I'm so grateful for that too.
Yeah, I mean, kids can call us in their BS faster than anything else because they're around us the phone. So I love how she's going to share with you how to walk that talk.
Yes, indeed.
Basically, there. Then you've got the Walters, Laura and Gabe Walters coming on as well.
Gabe and Laura are like my brother and my sister. I'm so grateful they're in my life. So these two have come up with this powerful team where they talk about financial planning, and they'll walk you through from the beginning to the end how to create your financial plan. And again, like I mentioned before, it's having that plan and working that plan that reduces the stress, reduces the anxiety. When we try to just, fly by the seat of our pants, anything can happen, right? But, I know not all plans go the way that that we design them to, but we're much better off when we at least have a plan, when we at least have an idea of where we're trying to go. We've set those goals and we have at least some idea of how we're going to get there. And Gabe and Laura, they're spectacular.
And then you mentioned the single parents out there too. You're not alone. We've got Anna Boyd
Oh
coming on
man.
there, the owner of Singled Out Wealth, join you there as
So
well.
when I met Anna, I was just like blown away. Again, I can't, I'm very, very grateful. Just the thought of this just fills me with dread. Doing parenting on my own, my gosh, I don't know if I didn't have a partner to tap out on, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I'm always grateful for my wife, but I know there's a lot of parents out there who don't have that resource and they're working it, they're figuring it out. I don't know how they're doing it, but Anna's going to come and talk about how she's doing it and give us some tips on what you can do to still reach those financial goals, even as a single parent. Because I feel like so many of us might think that, if you don't have the dual income or if you don't have that partner watching the kids, that some of these things you won't be able to achieve. Anna's going to talk about how you could still achieve them.
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got Jamie Boss, coming author of Money Boss Mom.
Someone knew what they were doing when Jamie was born, because boss is the right. Seriously, she is a boss. She is a boss. She's got a children's series of book, the Milton series of kids books. She wrote Money Boss Mom. She's coming in to talk. I've mentioned a few times about cash flow. Her partners are going to be sponsoring a bingo so that we have a fun activity that we're doing throughout the summit. So if you get a bingo and you mention it in the Facebook group, you'll be eligible to win one of the many prizes that all of our speakers donated. So Aspire Wealth Partners is one of our partners in this project and in this summit. And like I said, Jamie is a boss. She's coming to talk about cash flow. I've already watched her session. It's so helpful to have someone walk through the logistics of making sure at the end of the month you know where your money's going, you know where your money's been. So helpful.
That definitely falls in line with what Kelly. I always mispronounce her name. Sjostrom will be talking about with she's the host of the budgeting podcast out there too. Talk about what she'll be talking about.
Kelly's such a good friend of mine. I'm so glad she's coming. She's talking about budgeting. She Budgeting is a tricky one, right? And it's one of the
Yeah.
ones that I was so glad that she and I have chatted about so many times. Budgeting isn't necessarily something that just makes sense. Sometimes budgeting needs to be worked through. You need to kind of try something over and over again until it kind of makes sense. Kelly's one of those ones who's come across and said, "Hey, listen, this is another way that you can think about budgeting. This is another way you could work through budgeting because there's different ways to budget." And Kelly's one of those ones who's come up and said, "Hey, here's one way you could budget. Here's another way you could try. Here's another way you could try until you find the way that works best for you." And Kelly's the one who kind of works us through the way.
Now, I also love the fact that, I mean, you're from Canada, I'm from the United States, and a lot of folks, especially here in the States, take for granted, hey, we think everything runs the same way here. Well, I'm really excited. You got Jessica Morgan on. She's the founder of the Canadian Budget, because there are a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences between the two
There
countries as
is.
well, right?
And when I talked to Jessica, I was like, Jess, I want you in this, but most of the audience is probably going to be American. Do you still want to be a part of this? And she's like, heck yeah, I do. She's like, some things are different, some things are the same. So actually, what Jess is doing for me, and I'm forever grateful that she is, one of the sessions is about retirement. And I was like, Jess, can you do me a solid and do a special session just on retirement for my Canadian audience because I need some Canadian content here because like you said, I'm Canadian. Some of the audience is going to be Canadian. So she's coming in to talk a little bit about investing for your children without sacrificing your budget. That's for any audience, really. That's
Yep.
really about just making sure you're thinking about yourself while you're thinking about your kids. Because like I said, this is a summit for parents. So we need to be able to multitask, right? All parents know how to do that. This is how you multitask when it comes to your planning. But I also have her doing a session on retirement planning for Canadians. And like I said, I'm very grateful that she did me that solid because she did double duty, and I'm so happy she did.
Well, that's good. That's good. That also leads on to our mutual friend Maya Corbett, who's the author from Piggy Banks to Stocks. Great way to teach your kids about starting that investment journey.
Man, if you don't know who Maya is, like you must be under a rock because Maya is like seriously, every time I open my Instagram feed, it's Maya, Maya,
Yep.
Maya. I'm just like, that's amazing. Like, that's amazing. She is the ultimate when it comes to helping kids and parents teach kids about money. And she just came out with her own book. It's
Yep.
From Piggy Banks to Stocks. So good. I
Yep.
showed it to my son and he tore through it. He's 11 and he just couldn't put it down. Couldn't put it down. And even he and I, we've had these conversations. We co-wrote the book together. So none of this is kind of new to him. But after that, it reinvigorated his efforts to start saving to do more investing because he's like, okay, this is something. And he's 11, right? Like he's not like a teenager. He's not a 20-year-old. He's 11 years old. And books like from Maya gave him more confidence. Actually, Maya and Dan, the next person we're going to be talking
Right.
about, he was like, okay, so if I start saving my allowance and the money I'm making from my bake sales, can I have enough for a down payment for a house by the time I'm like 18? I'm like, maybe. He's like, okay, and then I could start house hacking. I was like, okay, bud, you're there, you're there. And it's because of my community with
Yep.
Maya, Dan, and Rob, these amazing speakers. So yeah, Maya's coming in to talk about investing specifically with your kids. So again, just a great resource. And again, if you don't know Maya, you need to find out because she's amazing.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Dan Sheik's author of First Him, and kind of talks about some of the just different financial strategies for youth for helping them getting off on the right path and
Yeah,
putting those good habits in place to grow their first million nest egg. Right.
it's amazing. One of the things I like about Dan is that he kind of gives you that alternative. He's an educator, but he gives you that alternate path. Because so many of our young people, like they hear there's only one way to reach success, right? And there is no one way to reach success for you. You define what success is and you find your path. There's no one way. And Dan, with his first to a million, when I went through that book, I was like, my gosh, this is a brilliant, brilliant piece of advice for any young person to say, here's a different way of doing it. So yeah, he's going to come in, talk about financial independent strategies for youth. So parents who have youth, young people in their lives, obviously are the parents, so probably have young people in their lives who want to find a different path or even just go the traditional path, but reach financial independence at a much earlier age than we have traditionally thought of. So instead of retiring at 65, maybe it's at 40, 30, 25. That's what Dan talks about. He gives you different strategies for your kids to kind of start thinking about financial independence at a much, much earlier age than what we've done traditionally.
Yeah, that leads into to if you're raising kids that are more entrepreneurial nature versus the W-2, the career stuff like that. That's your next speaker, Rob. Phelan will discuss a lot about raising those future CEOs too, right?
That's right. So Rob, he's done a few different projects on this. So he did the simple startup and his book, which I have listed on the website, M is for Money. I think he did M is for Money via Kickstarter.
Yep,
And
he
then
did. Yep.
yeah. And so he's also an educator and he's put a lot of effort into showing young people how to again have a different path. You don't always have to be an employee. You can be the next CEO. So he's coming in to give you strategies to help your kids learn about being their own employer.
Love it. That takes us next round. Stephanie Gonzalez, founder of Women's Wealth Effect. She's coming on as well.
So she's going to be talking about leveling up your career. So I said I want this to be something that helps our parents start feeling better about their money. So if you are, not everyone's going to start side hustling. It'd be
Yep.
nice, but it's not going to. It's just not the way of the world, right? Some of us have jobs, and one of the best ways to increase your earnings is to look at where you're already earning, right? So we've got Stephanie coming in to talk about leveling up your career and your income and figuring out ways to make your money go a little further and or making a little bit more of it.
Exactly. And then kind of bringing it all together too is Andy Hill in a lot of what we've talked about
Oh
so
my
far, right?
gosh. I don't know how well you know Andy, but another like I love all of these speakers. It's pretty clear that I do. And he's
Yep.
just such a warm heart. He had me on his podcast not too long ago. And again, you just feel it almost felt like he's welcoming you into his home when you're chatting with him. He's just a really kind-hearted person. He and I had a chance to chat. We did the recording for the summit. He's talking about how you could raise wealth as a family, financial independence as a family. Again, these things aren't solo efforts, right? Sometimes you might need to be the parent who leads the charge, but if you're in a partnership, it's a family effort. And Andy comes in and talks a little bit about some of those steps that you need to take as a family to reach some of those financial goals.
Exactly. Then you got the amazing Shinobu Hindert join as well, the
Oh
author of
my gosh.
Investing in Your Superpowers.
She is super powerful. She is just again, I meet some of these creators that are parents, and I'm like, I don't know how you balance all of what you do with your family. There's just so much going on, and Shinobu is one of those people. She's going to come in and talk about retirement planning. She's bringing that from more of an American perspective, as I
Yep.
mentioned before. I've got just
Yep.
talking about more from a Canadian perspective. She's a CFP, a certified financial planner. This is what she does, right? She helps people plan for retirement, whether you're high net worth or low net worth or whatever net worth you are. She has a plan for you to help you start thinking about how do you start planning for that retirement goal of yours.
And then you've got Sandy Young coming on helping people demystify that. And I love the fact you've got different people touching on some similar things, but I think it's all about understanding money is hearing it again, maybe from a different perspective to the
Right.
clicks, right?
Right. So, hey, if you're planning for retirement, you're probably going to be investing. If you've got income and you just want to make that grow, maybe you're not thinking about retirement. Maybe you're thinking about you want to buy an RV or you want to buy a rental home or something.
Yeah.
There's so many different paths, right? So I have Sandy come in and she's talking about investing in the market, right? Like sometimes that's the easiest path to get people into investing. So I wanted to have someone who can come in and just start breaking down some of those paths, right? Because often what you get is a lot of jargon. You get people who've been doing it for a long time and they start throwing around terms and you're like, and easily you're just in a fog of I don't know what to do next or where to start. So I wanted to bring it back to basics and have Sandy come in and just say, hey, if I'm from zero, I've never invested a cent in my life, what do I do? And Sandy and I kind of walk through what you would do if you start from zero.
And then sometimes it's all about maybe getting rid of some debt, paying down some debt to pay for college, retirement. And that's why you've got the amazing Chris Corinthian joining you there as well, right?
Chris will help you even avoid the debt from the get-go. So Chris
Yep.
comes in and man, this guy's another, like, again, I can't say enough about these speakers. Another amazing powerhouse of a person. He's a mentor. He just finished up a PBS special. He's just doing all these things. He
Yep.
was a keynote speaker at a conference not too long ago, but he comes in and he's going to be talking about how you can pay for college without the loans. So he's got a plan. He's donated a course that he's doing. So many different. He's come up with a framework of how you can get through your college without ever doing the traditional. I'm going to put thousands of dollars in myself in debt. So he's got his plan. He's going to talk about that. I know the summit's mostly for parents with, say elementary, maybe teenage, but I wanted you thinking about this, right? We're talking about future planning. So if you have this on your radar, maybe you have an older kid, maybe you've got kids of different ages, but I know at some point you're thinking about those years of like, okay, college is only getting more expensive. What do I do? So this is why I want to have Chris come in.
Exactly. Then you've also got the amazing Holly Reed there, author of Teach Your Kids to Fish. We're not talking just going out and throwing a line in the one,
No,
but
no, no way. Holly's got so many resources that I
yeah.
knew I needed to have her on. She's got a camp for kids. She's got multiple books. She's just again another phenomenal person. So I wanted her to come in, talk about wealth building with kids. So again, you mentioned it a moment ago, but sometimes you need different perspectives to hear these concepts. So
Yep.
I wanted her to come in and say, okay, if we're talking wealth building, if we're talking generational wealth, how do you explain that to a child? Like, what are we talking about here when we're talking about wealth building to kids? Because I talk about it a little bit in some of my sessions, but I wanted to have Holly come in because again, if we're teaching our kids to fish, then we're golden, right? So this is why I had Holly come in for us.
Love it, love it. Then you've got another the final six, but not the least.
Oh no,
Okay,
not at all.
not at all. We've got our co-buddy David Delisle. Do something awesome. Author of the Golden Quest. Great story, great book as well about investing and taking a different path.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I think I've sold more of David's books than my books because and seriously, I've got a box of them over there. I can see him right now. So David, this is why I partnered with David. So his book, The Golden Quest, is a graphic novel for kids. So it pairs so well with my Your Kids, Their Money. So one's for the parents, one's for the kids, which is why I recommend it so much. David's message is around what we were talking about a while ago. It's not just about acquiring more. We need to be a bit more mindful about what we're doing when we're spending. And that's his message. His message, he breaks it down to only buy your awesome stuff, right? So
Hmm.
if it doesn't move you, if it's not going to be the thing that you care about, do you really need it? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but just take a moment and think about it. So he's getting into a little bit of that money mindset, a little bit of that mindfulness, like really thinking deeply about how you're spending, how you're using your money to make sure that you're really maximizing, right? Because we're talking about reaching financial goals, but you're not going to reach your financial goals if you're spending frivolously, right? And I'm
Yeah,
not saying any, and David will do it, I'll do it, I'm sure you do it as well. We're never going to tell you what to spend your money on. Your awesome stuff is your awesome stuff. Just make sure that's what you're spending your money on, the things that you think are awesome. So that's what David's coming in to talk about.
exactly. We've all need to set boundaries as well, and that's why you've got Raheem Sabri coming on there, or Sabri, talk a little bit about that too, right?
Right. So I mentioned before, sometimes our money hiccups come from things that happened in the past, whether that be financial trauma or you feel like you're too connected to someone and they're kind of siphoning a little bit of your energy, maybe some of your money. So I've got Rakeem coming in to talk about, setting those boundaries and making sure that you feel like you know how to again just put those boundaries around yourself in a healthy way so that you can again reach those financial goals. Again, this is money mindset stuff, right? This is making sure that we mentally feel like we are moving forward. So that's why I have Rakeem coming in, and he is again a financial therapist. He's got multiple books out. He's a Forbes contributor. He's crushing it.
Yeah, definitely. So is Will Rainey, your next guy.
Oh
He's the
man.
author of Grandpa's Fortune Fables. Is a funny book as well
Oh,
too.
it's a funny book, but it's so, so good. I remember going
Yep.
through this one with my kids, and again, we tore through it. Every time I'd pick it up, every time I try to put it down, they're like, no, 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 just one more chapter, just one more chapter. It's an easy read, it's a fun read. He's coming in to talk about the three rules of wealth, why it's so hard sometimes for us to actually follow them, but how to help our kids follow those rules of wealth. So again, kind of helping the parents help the kids. He's a great blogger. His blog is just blown up since he's been doing such a prolific writer. I'm hoping he's told me a few times that he's working on a second book. I hope it comes out soon. But Grandpa's Fortune Fable is just a spectacular resource, and Will's just a great guy.
Yeah. Now we just finished up with tax day here, and I'm really excited to hear what Sonia Castellan, who's going to be on there talking about. She's a first generation Latin tax pro out there, but she's
Oh,
going to share
she's
some nuggets too.
so I needed to make sure. So it has happened a few times now. So I came up with the event. I had all these amazing concepts that I want to have in. And I was like, oh, I forgot about taxes. I did the exact same thing when I wrote my book and I gave it to a friend of mine to read. So like, you didn't mention taxes. I'm like, taxes. No one wants to think about taxes, but we need to think about taxes because
Yep.
tax planning makes such a huge difference, which is why I have Sonia coming in. She is the tax pro. She does know how to manage money to make sure that you're taking advantage of some of these tax, I don't want to call them loopholes, but just again, we need to be able to manage our taxes because if we're not, then our tax is going to be managing us. So I've got Sonia coming in. That is another one of those sessions that's more based for an American audience, but I'm sure there'll be little tips for our international audiences as well.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of myths out there that are incorrect, and I'm sure
That too.
Sonia will help out with that too.
I just to stay on that point. So I know a lot of folks right now, they're getting their information from TikTok, from IG, from all these places. And listen, almost all of these speakers probably have an IG, some of them have
Yep.
TikTok accounts. It's so hard to know who to trust when it comes to this type of stuff. Look for people who have some type of credentials. Look for something or a session or a summit where people with credentials are with other people who may not have credentials because they're not going to partner with people they don't trust. This summit has people from all realms who you can trust. And that
Yep.
I wouldn't have anyone on this summit who I didn't trust intimately. So if you're, getting your tax advice from social media, just be careful. That's all I got to say.
Amen to that. Well, that leads into old-fashioned writing and editorial stuff. And you got Colin Graves, who's a financial writer and editor out there. Going to be talking about some of these roadmaps to if you are working full time and want to leave it as well, right?
Yeah, and I have to pull it out. I don't know if anyone's watching the screen right now, but I find this the most ironic part. I have a typo on my financial writer and editors page, but I will fix that. Colin won't be mad at me for that one. So, like I said, one of the things I wanted to make sure I had in the session, so I wanted to have someone who could talk about, the roadmap to escaping that 9 to 5. Sometimes you need to look for an alternative way. It doesn't always work the way we do it traditionally. So I have Colin coming in. He's talking about that 9 to 5. He's talking about that, another way to make your way work. So I've got Colin coming in. He's awesome. He's great. He's an editor, he's a writer, and he's so, man, I love Colin. He's got a great vibe. So I'm super excited that Colin's here and he's doing a roadmap to escaping the 9 to 5. I think it's perfect.
Exactly. And then last but definitely not least is Shane Walker.
Yeah, so Shane is the CEO of Cube Money. So I met Shane, again at FinCon, chatted with Shane, and I was like, this app, I don't know if you've seen Cube Money. Holy smokes, I love this app. It's not available in Canada, which is such a shame. But I talked to Shane about it, and I was like, I talked to his representative at FinCon, and then I talked to Shane himself, and I was like, this thing, it's such a so I'll go just get into it just a little bit. One of the things that makes managing money so hard for us right now is that we're not using cash. If we're all using
No.
cash, there'd be no way to overspend.
Right.
Dane has developed an app where you are using your digital cards, you're using your apps, you what have you, but he's able to turn it into a way that almost feels like cash. So you kind of have to transfer money into your cube to access the money. So it adds a layer of security, it adds a layer of accountability. It just gives you so much more control over your money so that you have to be kind of like what David's talking about. You have to be more mindful with the way you spend. You can't just go and spend. Cube Money has a claim of saving you, like, I think it's like $800 of your budget in the first 2 months of using it. So I was super excited to have Shane come in and talk about how you can use cash flow or cash envelope budgeting to start, saving a little bit more money, feeling a little bit more mindful. It's such an old technique of budgeting, but it still works. And I
Yep.
like that he's now brought it into the 21st century with this app. So he's another one who's contributed to the goodie bag. So if you go to the swag bag, you can get a 60-day trial of that app as well. So there's just so much goodness in this summit, and I'm grateful that Shane was willing to come and do a session on that cash envelope budgeting.
Yeah, it's a definitely important thing. It's how we got started doing that stuff, and I'm glad somebody has taken that and updated it for the 21st century. In a
Exactly.
lot of those
Exactly.
cases out there. Now, this is such an amazing lineup, such great content. You've got some frequently asked questions here, and we've already talked about all this. But once again, this is a free summit because everybody has a giving mindset. They're coming together to deliver content for you guys to help you take those big steps. Yes, there's an upgrade if you want to sign up and have the recordings for lifetime. You can do that at a little bit cost. What's the pro pass on that cost? What's the
Sure. So the upgrade gives you access to the to the videos for life. The upgrade gives you the transcripts, the summaries, not the summaries. There's a workbook that was created for all the sessions. There is a checklist for all the sessions. So there's all these additional resources, and then some of the speakers also contributed some of their courses, some of their workbooks. Like there's so many things that are contributed to the all access pass. If you upgrade to the all access pass right after you register for the summit, I think I gave you like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I discounted it by half. So it's $47 for the upgrade. So you can't do
Ridiculous.
better than that. If you
No.
buy the pass before the summit starts, I think it's 77. And if you buy the pass after the summit, it's 97. Still phenomenal value. I think when I did the math on it, it came to about 2,500, give or take, in different resources and products that are part of that pass.
Yeah.
Again, that's just if you want to upgrade, if you're not able to, catch all the summit sessions in real time, or if you want to have access to some of those replays or some of those resources. I think they're phenomenal, but not everyone needs them, and I get that. And this isn't, that's not what it's about. It's about making sure you learn. So, the pass is free, and I think it's just gonna be an amazing summit.
Exactly. And I love to on here. You're not going to get spammed to death by 30
Oh,
speakers
no, no,
too.
no,
You're
no,
not
no.
giving the email. You're not giving the registration list to
Oh
anybody
gosh, no.
there.
No, no, no.
Of course, people want to opt in or follow. They can do that, but
Sure.
that's different. A lot of these some are just an email grab. This is not
Gosh, no.
designed for that
No,
at
no.
all.
If
Yeah.
no, so I think by now people know where I'm at and what I'm trying to do here. So all of these speakers, if they once you watch their session, right underneath their session, there's a chance to get their freebie that they've contributed to you. You probably have to give them your email, and then you might be into their email list, into their newsletter. But no, I'm not going to be distributing your emails to anybody. This is not about me trying to spam you. This is about
Yep.
me trying to help you
Yep.
get to where you want to be, wherever that is, from wherever you are, because I really, and again, it always goes back to my why, which is I want your kids to flourish, to
Yep.
succeed, to thrive. And I know to get that to happen, I need to make sure you're also thriving and succeeding. So this isn't about a bunch of spam. No, this is about really trying to help you as much as possible.
Exactly. Once again, the guys, click on the link in the description or the blah below the video there for you, or the podcast. It's raisinggenerationalwealth.com. Click on the link. It is free for you May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You owe it to yourself to listen, to learn, take some notes. I know I'll be attending and taking copious amounts of notes. You've just done really knocked it out of the park again, Clifton. Just absolute kudos. Congratulations. I know
Thank
this
you,
is going
sir.
to be a huge success. Big thanks to everybody that's speaking on this. And you guys know I don't share a lot of stuff out here unless I believe in it and I know this stuff. I'm very particular about who we promote and what we promote. And if I got Clifton on here talking about, I'm a big fan of it, and he's got a big heart, and it's going to be valuable to each and every one of you. You can find something there. What's bugging you? Is it taxes? Is it discussions? Is it relationship? Is it budgeting? Is it wealth? Is it the wanting to leave your job? Is it maximize your job? Is it paying off debt? All those things we deal with, and you've done an amazing job by bringing everybody together to help hit those hot buttons that people are struggling with. So kudos to you, Clifton.
Thank
Great
you.
job,
Thank you very
buddy.
much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. So raisinggenerationalwealth.com. Get signed up today. It is free. Of course, if you want to sign up there for the Pro Pass at 47, why wouldn't you? To be able to download all this stuff and have it with you. And you can literally think about this, ladies and gentlemen. You take this, you go on May 2nd, 3rd, 4th. This could be a summer like discussion series with your kids. If you want to get close to your kids, why not bring them in there 15, 20 minutes? Make a little bit of learning each day and apply it so they're off rock and roll. And I guess what? You'll be out rocking and rolling as well too. So, Clifton, thanks for coming on here, sharing this great stuff. We look forward to seeing more from you and attending this stuff. Uh, any final thoughts before we let you get going for the rest of your day?
Scott, I just can't thank you enough. I thank you for what you do in your courses. I thank you for what you do on your pod. I thank you for having me on. Man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Same here, buddy. Well, hey, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. All right.
Sounds good, bud. Talk soon.
Thanks.